Brisbane's the fastest growing diocese in Australia, but at the same time we have all the problems of any big diocese in the Western world, not just in Australia. In a sense, we're a church here that's grown old quickly. The church has only been in Australia for about 200 years, but we have all the signs of premature old age, because in one sense we have diminishing congregations. Our institutional profile and power is not quite what it was. Communication with young people is a major concern, and everywhere I go, particularly in our parishes, that's the question that people ask: how can we reach out to the young people and draw them into the experience of faith in the church? Because a lot of young people are very spiritual, but they're not interested in signing up for membership of the church. It's been said they want belief without belonging and belonging without belief. Now, that's difficult because the church does the two together. We do belief and belonging. So whilst there are signs of growth in this part of the world, in the Archdiocese of Brisbane that's been entrusted to me, there are also the signs of a kind of premature old age and a failure to communicate. I sometimes think we're like a teacher, and I was a teacher before I was a bishop, a teacher trying to communicate something very important, and we're just not getting through, and you can see it on your students' faces. And you think perhaps that if I just keep saying it often enough and loud enough, they'll get it. They don't get it, no. So you've got to find new words, new images, new strategies in order to communicate. And if you do find the right way, you see the penny drop, and all of a sudden they say, now I get you. See, very often they don't get us, particularly the young. Interestingly, with someone like Pope Francis, people, all kinds of people, young, old, church or no church, they do get him. The words he uses and the gestures he accomplishes. They understand what he's saying. He has that capacity to communicate in a way that people get. And we're in search of that too in this part of the world. We really are. The other thing is we're going through profound and permanent change. Many of the old ways have gone, the new ways are being born, often painfully. A lot of the structures and strategies that we used in the past and were very, very effective, they're no longer effective. And I think we have to have the courage to say that, and then ask, well, what are the structures and strategies that the preaching of the gospel requires? Because we're not just maintaining an institution, we are trying to preach the gospel in a way that people get. The sacraments are absolutely vital, but you can't come too quickly to the sacraments. The first thing that really lights the spark and fires people, particularly the young, is the experience of encounter with Jesus. Like, in the end, we're not just another institution, and Christianity isn't just another ideology or some message that can be written down on a piece of paper. Christianity, and here I quote John Paul II, Christianity is an experience, he says in his first encyclical letter, of what? He says an experience of encounter. An encounter with Jesus Christ crucified and risen, who's not once upon a time, but who's here and now. And I say this all the time. We are not talking about a Jesus who's once upon a time, dead and gone. You know, gave us good example long ago, and we have to struggle mightily to imitate him now. That's not Christianity. Christianity is an experience of encounter with Jesus Christ, crucified and risen, who is here and now as presence and power. And again, John Paul II says, that experience of encounter is an experience of amazement, because it's only in that encounter that you discover who God really is. And once you see who God really is, and who you or who the human being really is, it is an amazing experience. And I might add that I think John Paul II was amazing as a man and as a pope, because he was so amazed. And you'll never be amazing unless you're amazed. So what I would like to do, not just with young people, but especially with young people, is introduce them into that experience of amazement in a world that's often dispirited, depressed, unamazed. To introduce them to that experience of encounter where they are amazed, and through that experience then to come into the community of the amazed and celebrate the sacraments. In other words, deepen the encounter as only the sacraments can do. So that's That's the task. It's easy to say, it's a bit harder to do because, again, we can have real problems of communication. The culture moving in one direction and the church moving in a different direction. Well, that's not the Catholic way. We have to engage the culture in new ways. And with young people particularly, in part, that means engaging the digital continent and all the cultures that it contains. So they're big challenges, but it's exciting times too. And the thing is, Jesus might seem to be asleep in the stern of the boat, but it's not as if Jesus has abandoned us or is somehow imprisoned in the past. Jesus is still here. It's only a question of how can we encounter him and lead others to do the same. And that's why we've got to become a more missionary church, full of a kind of apostolic imagination and an apostolic boldness. Try new things. If they don't work, admit they haven't worked and try something else. So I think we cannot put up a sign these days saying business as usual. We've got to roll the wagons out into new territory, not circle the wagons, but roll them out into new territory. Take the risk. Young people are looking for something. They really are, and Ignite is one classic demonstration of that. The other thing is, young people like these big events. Again, World Youth Day is the classic illustration of what I'm saying. And the big event can have a unique power. There's something about a crowd, there's something about sharing faith or even your search for faith with others doing the same. There's something about pilgrimage that has a particular power, and this is a little pilgrimage that the young come on to Ignite. So yeah, but the big event on its own is not enough. I mean, I love Ignite. I'm here every year and do everything I possibly can to encourage it. But at the same time, it's only part of what we've got to do. Because what we need, flowing from Ignite and leading to it, is a kind of an ongoing program of formation for young people. You know, as I say, the big event can give impetus and encouragement, all kinds of good things, and can be a real conversion moment. But the follow through is crucial. And we haven't quite, here in Brisbane at least, we haven't quite come to that point. What is the ongoing program of formation that can flow from Ignite and lead to the next celebration of Ignite? So big event, yeah, great. And I love the name, just by the way, Ignite, because very often the church seems to me to be like a man he's got a great big garage full of fantastic cars. He's got a Lamborghini, a Maserati, a BMW. The only problem is they don't go because there's no ignition. They lack the spark. Now, you know, we've got a church full of fantastic cars, some of which don't go, some of them go very well. But we need to light that spark to get the thing moving, and the spark is that moment of encounter with the risen Christ. Once that happens, everything looks different. In a sense, nothing's changed except the way you see things. And that's what this moment is all about, and why Ignite has been such a powerful thing. To light the spark, but then the next question is, how do we follow through? How do we roll the cars out onto the road and into the future?